practice for a few moments. Concentrate on the Divine Spirit and pray for the prosperity and well-being of the whole humanity. Hari Om Tat Sat. Peace, peace, peace be unto all. Om Savakaya Jadharmasya Sarvadharmasvarupine Savakaya Jadharmasya Sarvadharmasvarupine Avatara Varishtaya Ramakrishna Te Namah. Asato ma sadgamaya tamaso ma jyotirgamaya mrityorma mritangamaya. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Let us bow down to Sri Ramakrishna, the embodiment of all religions, the Supreme God Incarnate. Let us pray to that Divine Spirit to lead us from the unreal to the real, to lead us from the darkness of ignorance to the light of knowledge, to lead us from death to immortality. We are discussing about the topic inner stability, how it is very essential to build up spiritual life. Just as you construct a building on a strong foundation, in the same way, to build up the spiritual life, you must have a very strong foundation. That foundation is inner stability. Sri Ramakrishna teaches in the Gospel how one should develop that, how one should become stable and strong. Sri Ramakrishna says you must become like an anvil in a blacksmith's shop. In spite of so many hammerings, the anvil is firm. So also, you may come across difficult situations, you may come across many sorrows, you may come across many dangers, many obstacles. Still, you must not shake yourself. That means you must be physically very strong. All your nerves must be strong enough. Nerves must be strong enough. Your mind must be strong enough. There should be complete harmony in your inner system. If you try to maintain that harmony, then you will be able to cultivate stability. Then you can definitely march onwards in your spiritual journey to reach the goal of human life. The goal is to realize one's own true nature. That is the meaning of saying, seeing God. Well, we have talked about this subject quite a long time in 2-3 classes. And we had studied the famous episode in the Mahabharata war where Arjun, a great hero, was completely shaken. He was losing himself in desperation. He felt as if he has no strength at all. Even the bow which he was holding in his hand dropped off. He fell down on the ground. A terrible state. So Lord Krishna had to lift him up, had to lay the strong foundation of stability. The message of Gita is the message of stability. If you follow the teachings of Lord Krishna, understand them properly, follow them meticulously, not compromising at all at any moment, you will be able to develop that quality of stability. Then you will really enjoy the bliss of God. So, Lord Krishna has given the method of becoming oneself stable. We have discussed many times. He said 5-fold method. The first one is one must have a clear theoretical understanding of the true nature of the essential being, his relation to the divine power or reality, and the world. And this understanding must color, regulate, and inspire his thoughts, his emotions, and actions. That's the first factor essential to become stable, according to Lord Krishna's teachings. The second he mentioned was one must accept certain inevitables, such as disease. It is inevitable. You may be a holy man of the highest order, yet you may be subject to disease. It doesn't mean, what is this? Holy man suffering from disease? Why should he suffer? One should not raise such question, because once you have a body, it is subject to decay and death. Be sure of that. That's the point which Lord Krishna wants to tell. Disease, suffering. Who is free from suffering? Tell me, in this world. It comes in different ways, in varying degrees. Then the other inevitable is old age, separation. All these things come. So, you must accept these inevitables to make yourself stable. You should not be shaken by such things. If you are shaken, you are the loser. What else? Thirdly, you must be able to endure the opposites of life. Shita, Ushna, heat and cold, praise and blame, happiness and unhappiness. You must bear them all. How? With equanimity. And thus strengthen the fiber of your moral life. The fourth factor important for the stability is he should have a clear grasp of the cause-effect relationships which regulate one's actions and fortunes. One should perform one's duties, preferably in a spirit of worship, but at any rate with dexterity and detachment. The fifth factor is the battle of life has to be faced. Inner stability belongs to him alone who constantly remembers God or the Divine Spirit or the true nature of the self and fights free from fever. And Lord Krishna also has said, if you find difficult to follow any of these fivefold factors, there's one thing, that is, if you completely surrender yourself to the divine in all possible ways, that will strengthen you. You will have inner stability in full measure without having to bother in the least about the true nature of the self or the fivefold method suggested. Well, all these points become meaningful when you decide to live spiritual life, when you decide to realize the true nature of yourself, when you decide to see God face to face. So, these are the fivefold methods according to Lord Krishna. You may adopt any set of methods, only you should become stable. That's what is important. Regarding this stability, Lord Buddha has given wonderful teachings in Dhammapada. It is just like Bhagavad Gita, so beautiful and sublime. So, now I am going to tell you the fivefold method derived from Buddha's teachings, especially the Dhammapada, through which one can attain inner stability. Of course, you must always bear in mind, spiritual life means to be intensely practical. That means your thought and action must go together. Not thinking one way, acting another way. Instead of becoming stable, you become more unstable, more confused, and you'll make yourself a mess. People talk spirituality in so many ways. But Sri Ramakrishna has made it very clear. The religion, what Sri Ramakrishna is talking about, is the manifestation of divinity already in you. Each one is potentially divine, essentially divine. Because you have forgotten that nature, for what reasons you may not know, you are suffering. Because you have forgotten your true nature, so there is instability. So you are unstable. So you are shaken. So you are nervous. So you are fearful. So you are frightened. All these things you are facing in the life on account of your ignorance. That's what I said in my prayer. Tamasoma Jyotirgamaya. To dispel the darkness of ignorance, you must light the lamp of knowledge. That's the meaning of that prayer. What a fine prayer it is. Knowledge. That means how sharp should be your intellect. What is happening is the intellect has lost its sharpness on account of its involvement in the unreal things and losing all its power in the pursuit of unreal things. So, you are not really enjoying the beauty or stability of the intellect on account of this. So, whatever spiritual ideas we may talk about, it comes to the practice of implementing these ideas in your life. Then you feel it's too difficult for you to practice. Because you have built up so huge tendencies in your mind. They have become so powerful, and they won't allow you to think in any other fashion. The moment you try to divert your attention to spiritual ideas, they all pounce upon you, they try to devour you totally. You must be very careful about that. Spiritual life is not meant for public demonstration. Let all people gather, I will show my spirituality. It's a big zero if a person shows spirituality that way. What kind of spirituality is that? It's miracle mongering. Just a kind of sensation, that's all I should say. It only makes one more unstable, So never we should allow such thing to happen in our spiritual life. So, first of all you must decide whether I want spiritual life, whether I want to conquer death, whether I want to conquer suffering, whether I want to enjoy peace and bliss. Depends upon your aspiration, how strong and how stable. What I am telling is, you have to be practical 100%. There's a famous book Swami Vivekananda has given. It is available in small booklet, Practical Vedanta. You will understand what is meant by practicality. What is Vedanta? What is meant to be practical? You will understand nicely if you read that small booklet. So, it is true, practice means difficult. Yes, you won't get easily. You have to work hard. Even in the world, how much you have to work. So, you must be prepared to work hard. So, I am coming to now building up inner stability according to Buddha's teachings. First, Lord Buddha says, the essence of the Dhammapada, I am taking selections from them. One must hold fast to the truth. Truth will never pass away. Truth is immortal. Truth destroys a man's sin. Truth is his savior. One who holds fast to truth becomes indestructible like truth itself. Second, Lord Buddha says, holding fast to truth means becoming a seeker of truth and not pleasure. Why? The moment you seek pleasure, you become unstable. You can examine yourself how true it is. It is because those who seek pleasures cannot be stable because pleasures themselves are not stable. That's the reason. So, Lord Buddha says, he who lives looking for pleasure only, what will happen? All his senses become uncontrolled, immoderate in his food, idle and weak. If a person is positioned in that situation, Mara, the tempter, he'll be waiting to overthrow a person who is weak, as the wind throws down a weak tree. He who lives without looking for pleasure, his senses well controlled, moderate in his food, faithful and strong, the tempter will not be able to do any harm to such a person. He will certainly not overthrow any more than the wind throws down a rocky mountain. Thirdly, Lord Buddha says, earnestness is required. What is earnestness? It means preparedness to do energetically and dexterously, here and now, all things that need to be done, and to shun promptly what is to be shunned for realizing the truth. Earnestness also means careful husbandry of all our resources and opportunities for attaining illumination. Without this earnestness, no one can build up inner stability. By rousing himself, by earnestness, by restraint, by control, the wise man makes for himself an island which no flood can overwhelm. This earnestness, when strengthened by the practice of self-control and endurance, becomes a powerful stabilizing force in the person. In the Dhammapada, it is stated, silently I endure abuse as the elephant in battle endures the arrow sent from the bow. For the world is ill-natured. They lead a tamed elephant to battle. The king mounts a tamed elephant. The tamed is the best among men, he who silently endures abuses. The fourth factor for stabilizing oneself, according to Lord Buddha, one should have a well-reflecting mind. It is required. It is a requirement to become stable. A reflecting mind is required because it prevents disintegration from within and distractions from without. If a man's thoughts are not dissipated, if his mind is not perplexed, if he has ceased to think of good or evil, then there is no fear for him while he is watchful. Again, Lord says, knowing that this body is fragile, like a jar, and making his thought firm, like a fortress, one should attack the tempter with the weapon of knowledge. One should watch him when conquered and should never rest. No external enemy can do greater harm to a man than his own wrongly directed mind. No external friend can do greater service to a man than his well-controlled mind. A well-reflecting mind helps the aspirant to cherish proper values and to see clearly the inevitables of life in their proper perspectives. He sees and knows that all created things perish. In all created things, grief and pain are inherent. all forms are unreal. These are all statements from Dhammapada. This acceptance, born of insight, helps the practice of detachment. The practice of detachment leads to purity of mind. It is a man of purity who never trembles and who becomes unshakable. Moreover, a man of well-reflecting mind regulates his conduct in such a way as not to create for himself forces which will be destructive to his inner stability. Now, in how many ways we are being injured? People are injured by passions. People are injured by hatred. They are injured by vanity. They are injured by lust. That means you are being constantly injured. Constantly. So what happens by the time you reach an advanced age, your whole body is full of bruises. Mental bruises. Terrible to treat them. Such a dreadful condition. People are passing through an account of irregular, indisciplined, immoral life. No dignity of life. Who is said to be a dignified person? He who is a disciplined person is a dignified person. Period. So, you have to become disciplined, determined, strong, decisive. Very important factors to make you stable in the real sense of the term. You become so stable, you will be able to control your body, you will be able to control your mind, you will be able to control your tongue. So, instead of committing any sin with body, mind and tongue, you should practice virtues. That's the point. A person who is working for inner stability does not injure anybody. A person who is working honestly for making himself stable will not tell lies. He overcomes anger by love, evil by good, the greedy by liberality. And the fifth factor, the last factor to make one really stable is that the well-reflecting aspirant who has controlled his body and mind must assiduously devote himself to the meditative life. A man without meditation cannot have inner stability. So, says the Buddha, addressing a bhikshu, one of his disciples, he says, meditate and be not heedless. Do not direct your thought to what gives pleasure, that you may not, for your heedlessness, have to swallow the iron ball, that you may not cry out burning. That's the pain. Without knowledge, there is no meditation. Without meditation, there is no knowledge. So he who has knowledge and meditation is near unto nirvana. It is only the man of inner stability who can attain or come near to nirvana. This then is a fivefold method of attaining inner stability for those who are averse to practicing theistic disciplines. The theistic disciplines I dealt with in last 2 classes. Now, according to the teachings of Buddha, to make oneself stable, he has given 5 prescriptions. One prescription is hold fast to the truth. Second prescription, instead of being a seeker of pleasure, be a seeker of truth. Thirdly, practice earnestness and endurance. Fourthly, develop a world-reflecting mind for self-mastery. And lastly, practice meditation. These are the 5 important factors to make oneself stable. That is the foundation that is required for your spiritual life. Without that foundation of stability, what kind of spiritual life you can have? That's the point. It is true, we are living in very difficult times. Nobody denies that. But what of that? It is only by grappling with difficulties in a heroic manner that a person has grown from strength to strength. We must not weaken ourselves by soft thinking. When affairs in the world are tough going, we should not weaken our system by soft thinking. To live through our tough times, we require tougher insights. By flying away from the battlefield, we shall not escape the demand of destiny that our mettle be proved. We stand challenged to own firmly our responsibilities in these complicated times of ours. And it befits men and women of our age to be awake, virile, and fearless, and accept them heroically. We have that power to do so. Each one has that power. Whether or not we seek God at all in the world, every one of us surely seeks his personal well-being. The true personal well-being of individuals can be worked for only on the foundation of inner stability. One who earnestly applies himself to develop inner stability will not crumble when everything crumbles around him. When everyone around him gnashes his teeth, tears his hair, and beats his breast, he will remain tranquil and look at the goings on of the world like an unaffected witness. From his heart and soul will flow a power, peace, and joy which will help salvage suffering men and women of the world. So, Sri Ramakrishna has emphasized this factor. You must have unshakable buddhi, that is the intellect. Be strong. Be very strong. Spiritual strength is the highest strength. To build up that spiritual strength, you must become physically strong. Then you must become mentally strong. Then you must become intellectually strong. Then you will become spiritually strong. That's all. Thank you. Page 560, Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna, chapter 29. Master said to Vijaya, smiling, I understand that they have been finding fault with you for mixing with those who believe in God with form. Is it true? He who is a devotee of God must have an understanding that cannot be shaken under any conditions. He must be like the anvil in a blacksmith shop. It is constantly being struck by the hammer, still it is unshaken. Bad people may abuse you very much and speak ill of you, but you must bear with them all if you sincerely seek God. Isn't it possible to think of God in the midst of the wicked? Just think of the rishis of ancient times. They used to meditate on God in the forest, surrounded on all sides by tigers, bears, and other ferocious beasts. Wicked men have the nature of tigers and bears. They will pursue you to do you an injury. Well, I have read this, the same topic which I dealt with in these Tuesday classes since 2-3 weeks ago. Page 561. Vijaya said, I have scored too many points and I am therefore out of the game. That also I read. Sri Ramakrishna said, once Keshav Sen gave a lecture at his house. I was present. Many people were there. That also I have read. Next para. Next para. Live in the world like a maid servant in rich man's house. She performs all the household duties, brings up her master's child, speaks of him as my Hari. But in heart she knows quite well that neither the house nor the child belongs to her. She performs all her duties, but just the same, her mind dwells on her native place. Likewise, do your worldly duties, but fix your mind on God, and know that house, family and son do not belong to you, they are God's. You are only His servant. I ask people to renounce mentally. I do not ask them to give up the world. If one lives in the world unattached and seeks God with sincerity, then one is able to attain Him. To Vijaya, Sri Ramakrishna said, there was a time when I too would meditate on God with my eyes closed. An allusion to the Brahma way of meditating on God. Then I said to myself, does God exist only when I think of Him with my eyes closed? Doesn't He exist? Then you will see the beauty of it. Not simply condemning the world. World is bad, etc. It doesn't mean if the world is bad, you should also become bad. It doesn't mean that. You become all right. Yesterday one guy was telling, everybody is a thief. And I told, if you say you are a thief, I understand. But you have no right to say others are thieves. How can you generalize? You tell you are a thief, I admit. Perfectly all right. But you can't say all the people are thieves. But anyway, he is not able to understand. You see, it all depends upon your mental makeup. If you are wicked, the whole world becomes wicked. If you are good, the whole world looks good. If you are loving, the whole world is loving. If you are hateful, the whole world is hateful. It's a fact. So, it means it only reveals the true nature of your mind. What's the state of your mind? You are like that. When you talk, when you do things, when you move, it reflects your mind. It reflects your mind. Yeah. Anything? Any question or comments? Or for the West, Swami Vivekananda's message. Message for the West is Vedanta, spiritual knowledge. Never condemn yourself. Never condemn yourself as a sinner. Each soul is potentially divine. That's the message Swami Vivekananda gave to the people in the West. So, he understood people have all the essentials of the worldly life, but they need spiritual knowledge. So he came to give that spiritual knowledge. That spiritual knowledge is the knowledge of the self. The Atman, the indwelling spirit, indestructible, immortal. That's the message. In brief, I should say. He has taught many yogas, Raj Yoga, Karma Yoga. All these yogas are taught in America. He was very considerate and very, I should say, very graceful. I should say, Americans received the most valuable grace of Vivekananda, I should say. I feel that way. But people are yet to understand the meaning of grace. That means you come to Vedanta. That is the meaning. That means you take to spiritual life. Whether you are a Christian or Hindu, doesn't matter. Try to realize your true nature. Who are you? Are you this body which is perishable? Are you this mind which every now and then shifts its stand? Now it hates one, then it loves another. Now it is jealous of one thing, next is in another. Are you that mind? How can you be that? Mind is continuously changing. Body is continuously changing. Everything, whatever that is changing, is not real. So, you have to think, you have to meditate upon this theme, on this idea. Try to find out, who am I behind all these things? When you say my mind is different, you are different. So, to probe who am I, that is the practice which we should do. To understand who am I is the Vedanta. Whether you worship God, whether you worship Christ, whether you worship Ramakrishna or any god or goddesses, it means the same. The substratum is the same. So you have to understand that. Is it possible to realize? It is. But as I said, it requires a lot of struggle and practicality. And there was a great saint in India, Ramana Maharshi, whom you all know. He actually experimented on himself. Who am I? He lied down and he actually wanted to experience the state of death. He controlled his breath and wanted to see what will happen. Finally he found out who was he, and then he was acceptable to everyone, and whoever comes to him would feel the divine vibration around him. That's the test of spirituality. Yeah. Any question? That's the point. You don't have to be dogmatic. At the same time, you can be a Christian. You must become liberal Christian. Don't become dogmatic Christian. Is that like dogmatic Hindu? No. I am also Hindu, but I am not dogmatic. I accept everyone. I accept Everyone is a flower. That's all. It's conception. How do you feel about it? That's the point. You practice it, you arrive at the truth, you experience it, then you share that joy with others. That's all. So, not to be dogmatic, not to be fanatical. That is the message of Sri Ramakrishna. That's the message of Vedanta. That's why Vivekananda came here to teach you. Don't bother yourself too much about the dogmatism. So, for the first time he gave out the essential nature of the spirit. So, anybody studying Vedanta from that angle would necessarily become liberal. You would feel it is superstitious to be dogmatic. What is it? It has no reason. It is based on a kind of fearfulness. Why do you want to impose things? Be free to think. That's the message of Vedanta. Be free. You are eternally free. Nitya Shuddha Buddha Mukta Chidananda Rupa Shivoham Shivoham. I am that Shiva, eternally pure, eternally sinless. That I am that pure, wonderful, effulgent spirit. That is the nature. Why do you unnecessarily color it and make it all sorts of, why do you confuse yourself? That's the message of the Upanishads. Upanishads say, here is the truth. Amritasya putraha. That's the message of Vedanta, which Swami Vivekananda said in the West. What is that? You are all children of immortality. You are being born and dying on account of your desires. You got intense desire to do something and you die, so you are born again. The desires make you to take birth again. You means who? The spirit associated with the mind. That is called soul, which we call in Vedanta Jiva. Jiva means the embodied being. Even though the physical body is dropped off, the soul goes with the subtle body. Subtle body is the mind. Mind always comes with him, with a person. There is death to the body, but not to the mind. Because mind is the storehouse of all the inherent tendencies which you have acquired, which you have accumulated. They all go and dump there. To give you trouble, if they are bad. To give you good, if they are good. That means it depends upon how you build up your life. Build up your life properly, nicely. Struggle hard to realize your true nature. In that process, if you die, life is not broken. You will be again born. So this incarnation, of course, this also the Christians may not agree. The Orthodox Christians may not agree. But even in, for example, Edward Casey was a very Orthodox Christian, but he went to the hypnotic state, he would say, karma theory is true. Everyone is reaping the good or bad effect of his own actions done in previous births. He was an Orthodox Christian. He would understand a person's troubles, problems and remedies, everything he would understand in hypnotic state. When he got over that state, he remained an Orthodox Christian and he said, I don't know anything what I said in that state. That's why he would say, when I say in that state, you record everything what I say. So that only shows how true it is. So Vedanta tells the doctrine of karma that is unavoidable. When you have taken a body, when you are working through the body, you are bound to commit things. Accordingly, you reap the fruit. As you sow, so you reap. Cause and effect come into play. Cause and effect. That's all. That is a law governing the creation. But you will know what you were before, what you are now, what you will be in the future, past, present and future, you will come to know when your mind becomes purified. When you reach a certain state of purification, when your mind is raised to a certain level of purity, it is said, they will know. Sri Ramakrishna himself would say. Sri Ramakrishna said, if a person comes near him, immediately by seeing him, he would know all about him. Well, same thing Vivekananda. He was talking, he was giving a discourse, and there was, among the audience, there was a person, a wealthy man, but very haughty, very egoistic person. Oh, he began to taunt Swami Vivekananda. What you are talking about yoga? Can you say what is inside my mind? Swami Vivekananda, at first he ignored, not to give importance to what is shouting. But again and again he began to insist upon that. When Swamiji came to know that this person is going beyond the limits, he didn't say anything. Do you know what he did? Simply gazed at him. That was enough. He was frightened. Oh, please, please. I know you are digging inside. I know within a moment you will reveal all rotten things about me. Please don't do that. Please don't do. He's crying. It is recorded in the life. I can show you. He's crying. Swamiji was very graceful. He didn't say anything. He kept quiet. That means the spiritual persons can know anything, everything. That is the test of your realization. Do you know? The Upanishad says, if you experience the highest truth, you will be acquiring the knowledge by the help of which there will be nothing to be known to you thereafter. Everything is known to you. That's the idea. That is why Vedanta appeals so effectively. Even the Christians, many Christians, they do come with the idea of what is Vedanta, what is these people talking about. They want to study. If they study in an unbiased way, immediately they will come round. Yes? What a foolish thinking we are doing. Sri Ramakrishna himself tells, Lord Christ was also incarnation of God. He came to remove the suffering of humanity. That's true. But Sri Ramakrishna said, harmony of religions. There are so many paths are there. Very good. When Vivekananda came, addressed the Parliament of Religions, do you know what he did first? He said, my salutations to all the gods of the past, all the innumerable gods of the present, all the future gods that would come up. He said like that. So God can take innumerable forms. In a way, what is the meaning of infinite? God is infinite because God is present everywhere. That's the meaning of telling Ishvara Sarva Bhutanam Hriddeshe Arjuna Tishtati. Lord dwells in everyone. That's the idea. Prabhavananda. Yeah, that is true. That is true. They have got sharp insight. They could know the things. You see, Sri Ramakrishna would say, if I see a person walking, I can tell whether he's a crooked or honest. Simply by watching his steps. He could say whether he's a crooked or sincere. Like that. Anyway, spiritual power is like that. That's why it's so glorious. All right, we shall stop. Chant the name of the Lord and His glory unceasingly, that the mirror of the heart may be wiped clean and quench that mighty forest fire, worldly lust, raging furiously within.
O name streamed down in moonlight on the lotus heart, opening its cup to knowledge of thyself, O self, drowned deep in the waves of his bliss, tasting his nectar at every step, bathing in his name, that balm for weary souls. Various are thy names, O Lord, in each and every name thy power resides. No time so set, no rite so needful for chanting of thy name. So vast is thy mercy, how huge then is my assuredness, who find in this empty life and heart no devotion to thy name. O my mind, be humbler than a blade of grass. Be patient and forbearing like a tree. Take no honor to thyself, give honor to all. Chant unceasingly the name of the Lord. O Lord of the soul of the universe, mine is no prayer for wealth or retinue, the playthings of lust or the ties of fame. As many times as I may be reborn, grant me, O Lord, a steadfast love for thee. A drowning man in this world's fearful ocean is thy servant, O sweet one. In thy mercy consider him as dust beneath thy feet. Oh, how I long for the day when an instant separation from thee, O Lord, will be as 1,000 years, when my heart burns away with its desire, and the world without thee is a heartless void. Prostrate at thy feet let me be, in unwavering devotion, neither imploring the embrace of thine arms, nor bewailing the withdrawal of thy presence. Though with tears my soul asunder, O thou who stillest the hearts of thy devotees, do with me what thou wilt, for thou art my heart's beloved, thou and thou alone. O Lord, lead us from the unreal to the real. Lead us from darkness to light, and lead us from death to immortality. May all be free from dangers. May all realize what is good. May all be actuated by noble thoughts. May all rejoice everywhere. May all be happy. May all be free from disease. May all realize what is good. May none be subject to misery. May the wicked become virtuous. May the virtuous attain tranquility. May the tranquil be free from bonds. May the freed make others free. May good betide all people. May the sovereign righteously rule the earth. May all beings ever attain what is good. May the worlds be prosperous and happy. May the clouds pour rain in time. May the earth be blessed with crops. May all countries be free from calamity. May holy men live without fear. May the Lord, the destroyer of sins, the presiding deity of all sacred works, be satisfied. For he being pleased, the whole universe becomes pleased. He being satisfied, the whole universe feels satisfied.